Hello, everyone who is watching the recording of the Astrology of December. Welcome. This is my monthly overview of all the major astrological transits that are happening in December that we are going to want to pay attention to. And obviously, when I bring up certain placements and certain signs or degrees, it is helpful if you have a copy of your own birth chart. You don't have to look at it right now, but you can look at it later and kind of see if some of these transits are going to be impacting you more specifically. Now, because we are into Sagittarius season and we do have a few things in Sagittarius right now, that means our mutable signs this month of December are having a lot of activity. So if you have strong Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces in your natal chart, those placements are going to get activated. So yeah, you might have a December that's a little more busy. Then obviously we're going to get into Capricorn season later on in the month. Then that's going to shift the focus more to our cardinal signs. So that's going to be Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn later in the month. But with that, let's get started. I'm sure everyone watching is relieved that we are out of Mercury retrograde. That was a pretty brutal one. As an astrologer, I always kind of mark all the details of when these transits happen, and there were just so many bumps with this specific Mercury retrograde. I don't know why. Some of them are more intense than others, but this one was pretty heavy. And also, we did have when the sun was still in Scorpio, right? Even, a week and a half ago, we still had so much in water. So the last month was also very emotional. It was very heavy. It was very intense, with so many planets being in the element of water. But now, yes, we have moved into Sagittarius season. We've got Venus in Sag, Mars in Sag. So we do have some fire in the chart now, which is good, which is going to help lighten things up. So we've just come off of the full moon in Gemini that was a couple days ago. I got a flat tire during that full moon. I don't know if anything happened for anyone else, but it was an especially activated, intense full moon because it was making what we call a square aspect to our lunar nodes, okay, to our north node in Pisces, our south node in Virgo. And you can see the sun is still kind of squaring those nodes. And whenever we have a square from a planet to the nodes, it creates a lot of tension. And the nodes are very sensitive. They're not planets. They're just a point in the sky that measures the very center of the earth, right? Literally the ecliptic of the earth. But they're still very sensitive. So when they get activated, things happen. Now, the biggest thing that did happen yesterday on December 5th, when the sun was exactly squaring the nodes, and it was something that falls into the Sagittarius category. It wasn't one I had predicted. I thought maybe it was going to be some big lawsuit or something having to do with a foreign leader, something like that. But it was this giant merging, okay, of Warner Brothers, HBO, and Netflix. Sagittarius rules media. Okay, so yesterday we had this giant purchase, like an $86 billion purchase. Netflix now has acquired Warner Brothers and HBO. This is a really big deal for those, who work in the entertainment industry, etc. So we'll see what happens with that. There are some voices, raising concerns because again, this is kind of then following into, monopoly territory. But yeah, whenever we have a planet making especially a square to the nodes, we get a big news story that usually has to do with something about that sign that the planet is in. So we're just coming off of that. We are here today on December 6th, and you can see we have this very nice trine aspect. Okay, Mercury in Scorpio making a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. Okay, exactly at 24 degrees today. Great day for me to be hosting a Zoom. This is where communication feels easy, even having conversations that just feel very rewarding, that feel nourishing. You might feel more comfortable even, being more vulnerable today, having more vulnerable conversations. This is also, really great energy for any kind of meditation practice, or if you want to do any creative writing today, also great for that. And also just learning in general. Jupiter is our expander, Mercury is the mind. So Jupiter is really positively like allowing our brains to absorb information today. So if you've got to have like any kind of important conversation, today's a great day to do it, because Jupiter here means that conversation is much more likely to be positive, to have a good outcome. Or even, if you need to ask someone a favor, right? Something like that. This is a good alignment to do that under. Excuse me. Okay, so moving to tomorrow. Hold on, let's go to our calendar here. Okay, so tomorrow, December 7th, we have another positive trine with Mercury. This is going to be Mercury making a trine to Saturn in Pisces. Okay, and you can see we actually, they're not all exact at 25 degrees, but Jupiter's still at 24, the moon at 24 degrees tomorrow. It's still pretty close, which does form what we call a grand trine. Okay, so you can see in the middle here, this blue triangle connecting those three planets, or excuse me, four planets. And even Neptune is actually kind of tied into this as well. So this is just a lot of flow, a lot of harmony, especially with communication. Okay, but specifically tomorrow with the Saturn influence, this is really great for focusing. Okay, if you have something important that needs to get done, or something maybe you've been putting off because it's going to take it's just going to take a long time. I'm going to need some mental endurance. I'm going to need to focus while I do this thing. Tomorrow is a really good day to do that with this positive influence from Saturn. We're able to focus, we're able to be very disciplined. Also, tomorrow, good day for any important conversations, even maybe more serious conversations. They're more likely to go well if you have them during this transit. Going to the 8th. Now, the 8th, we have a little bit of a challenge. Okay, so if you want to circle this on your calendar, December 8th, might be a little bit of a tricky day, because we do have Mars, okay, Mars in Sagittarius at 25 degrees, making a square. Again, that's right, that's a hard aspect. That's 90 degrees. That means there's pressure, there's tension. Okay, these two planets, they're not getting along well today. And that's with Mars and Saturn. So this day can feel like, it can feel frustrating. It can feel like you're trying to get things done, but you keep hitting roadblocks, or people keep telling you no again when you're trying to get something done. And it can also just be kind of this simmering tension where maybe you're just really annoyed with people. You don't really know why, but everyone is just getting on your nerves. In the newsletter, I wrote, this is a day you want to be careful. You might feel like punching a wall, but don't do it because you're going to hurt yourself. But there's just resistance today. It's like everything we try to get done, it's met with like this hard Saturn energy that's like, no, you can't do that. This is also a day you don't want to be moving too quickly. You don't want to be doing things too impulsively. Like, this is a day, yeah, if you're not paying attention, you could get a speeding ticket. Okay, it's kind of like that. So you want to be paying attention to your surroundings, move mindfully, react mindfully. Okay, then on December 10th, okay, we have Neptune station direct, okay, meaning it will no longer be retrograde. Neptune has been retrograde since July 4th, okay? So about 6 months, we've had Neptune retrograde, which means its energy has been more internal, which means that maybe we've sort of been, you know, facing things in our personal lives, contemplating things in our personal lives, where we've had to really look at the reality of the situation. You know, have I been deceiving myself in any area of my life? Neptune, yeah, retrograde is more introspective like that. But now it's Neptune direct. And this is going to be, you guys, the last few months we have of Neptune in Pisces, where it will not be in Pisces for another about 165 years. So we are at the tail end of this once in a lifetime transit. So hopefully, I'm hoping this last round of Neptune and Pisces, last couple months, brings us something positive because Neptune is in its domain in Pisces. Okay, Neptune rules Pisces, so the planet is dignified here, which it means it's all about unconditional love, compassion, selflessness, doing things for the greater good, allowing the greater good to overcome the ego. Okay. And it's very spiritual. It's also, right, very artistic. Okay, Neptune and Pisces rule art and music, creativity, the imagination. So this is, yeah, for the next couple months, especially if you are a creative person, if you're an artist, take advantage of this Neptune and Pisces energy. Like really just let that inspiration come to you, because it's the last time we're going to have it. But yeah, also just for the collective, yeah, people as a whole might lean more into that compassionate energy. They might lean more into that selflessness. So hopefully, like I'm saying, with the state of the world, hopefully we do see some compassion show up for certain situations in the next couple of months. And then we actually have another thing happening this day. We don't want to forget that we also have our Mercury-Uranus opposition. Okay, Mercury in Scorpio, directly opposite Uranus in Taurus, okay, at 28 degrees. This is, usually this manifests as some kind of shocking information, something that's shocking that surprises us. In our personal lives, it could just be like we have a really kind of interesting, unique conversation with someone, or maybe we get like that aha moment where that thing we've been trying to figure out, we finally like go, oh, this is it. This is the solution. But it's very innovative energy. It's very mental. It is very creative when it comes to solving things, solving problems, solutions. But Uranus can sometimes, right, be very kind of, disruptive or chaotic or, like I said, shocking. So that's why, collectively, this could be like shocking news that gets revealed. And it is Mercury in Scorpio, which is a little, can be a little darker stories. This could be maybe we get more information regarding, right, the Epstein files, something like that, something that's revealed, that's a news story. Secrets, some kind of secret that we weren't expecting could be revealed on this day. Okay, moving to the 11th. On the 11th, we have a few things happening. First, we have Venus, okay, Venus in Sagittarius, and it is her turn to make a square to the lunar nodes, okay, to our North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. Back in, I believe, late September, early October, when Venus was conjunct the South Node in Virgo, okay, when she was exactly right next to this point, was when we had the start of the government shutdown. Okay, so that's kind of, what happened last time Venus was connected to these nodes. With Venus square the nodes, I don't think we're going to have another government shutdown, but we could see something where resources are affected, because Venus does rule resources. So this could be, it could be something having to do with tariffs or gas prices or I don't know, but something involving goods, resources, banks, stock markets, those kinds of things. Because it's also Venus, Venus does rule women. This could be something that affects women in some way, some big story involving women. Women in Sagittarius could be women, foreign women, women from other countries. Um, yeah, and the Sagittarius part too could have to do with travel, could have to do with religion. Again, I guess I'll say media, because that is another Sagittarius thing. We saw it with the sun in Sagittarius square the nodes. Um, could be a law, some kind of Supreme Court ruling, higher law, higher education story. So yeah, but definitely something will happen around this time, either the 10th, 11th, or 12th with Venus squaring the nodes. Because, like I said, whenever a planet squares or makes contact with the nodes, it triggers something. So we will pay attention to that. On this day, we also have the fourth quarter moon. Okay, so you can see we've got the sun in Sagittarius, moon in Virgo, meaning, right, it's a quarter moon making a square aspect. So there's tension here between the sun and the moon. This is usually a point in the month where we have to like get through a challenge. Like there's something we're trying to work out around this time. Looking at these signs with Virgo and Sagittarius, we can feel a tension, between trying to like get all the work done, do the right thing, be super productive, be super efficient, get everything in order. But that there's another part of us, right? The Sagittarius that's like, no, let's just go have an adventure. Let's go explore today. Like, you don't have to, like, you're so boring trying to get all that work done. Let's just go have fun. So we might be feeling, some of that pull in our lives around this time. Or maybe there's like just a lot of responsibility at home that we've got to handle, that we've got to get done. We've got a big to-do list we've got to get done. But then that Sagittarius sun is like, no, come on, let's go play. So around this time, best thing to do is how can you find the balance? Maybe you get up an hour earlier to make sure you just get that Virgo to-do list done. And then you've got some time later in the day to go do something fun. And then we will also have a little bit later, same day. There he goes. Okay, then we've also got Mercury leaving Scorpio, moving into Sagittarius. Okay, this is, yes, bringing more fire into the chart. We don't have all that heavy, heavy water that we were dealing with. So yeah, we're gonna have, 4 planets in Sagittarius for like about a week this month. Which is, yeah, adding that Sagittarius energy. It's adventurous. It is, it's very optimistic, right? Sagittarius rules luck and optimism and generosity and abundance. So, to me, it makes sense that, like, yeah, a big chunk of the holiday season, right, where there's just like there's color and joy and people wanting to have fun and to celebrate is Sagittarius season. It really does kind of embody that spirit of Sagittarius. But specifically with Mercury going to Sagittarius, we did have Mercury in Sagittarius last month for just a teeny bit. Then it went retrograde, right, and went back into Scorpio. So this is kind of um, our take two of Venus in Sagittarius. And this is, where communication, for one, it can be very entertaining. This is where you get your very kind of elaborate storytellers, your friends wanting to tell you about their crazy adventures, right? Big stories. It's also, people are a lot more honest. Sagittarius rules honesty. And people, born with Mercury in Sagittarius, they're very blunt. They do not sugarcoat. They will tell you exactly what they think. Extremely direct. Sometimes it gets them in trouble, but at least you are getting a straight answer. So you might encounter, communication that is just more honest for the next few weeks with Mercury here. And I actually, shoot, I forgot to print out my notes of the exact dates. But Mercury, I think, is in Sagittarius, yeah, for about 3 weeks towards end of December, early January, it'll move into Capricorn. But yeah, so we've got a few weeks. This is also just good for studying or for like planning specifically if you want to plan, some kind of trip. If you're looking at your 2026 and you're like, I want to plan my vacation now, Mercury in Sagittarius is a great time to do that research. It's also good for, yeah, literally any kind of like religious studies, spiritual studies, philosophical studies. It's a good time to like, yeah, pick up that whatever spiritual book you've been wanting to read. Read it during Mercury in Sagittarius. You're really likely to absorb that information very easily. Okay, then we have December 14th. Okay, December 14th. This is a day personally I'm paying close attention to. We've got another square. This time it is Mars and Neptune. Okay, Mars squaring Neptune. And the biggest metaphor for this transit is the bubble gets burst. The bubble pops because Neptune is literally like it's fantasy. It's kind of dreamy and it's like a big colorful bubble. Okay. And it's very soft energy, it's gentle energy. And then we've got Mars, and Mars specifically in Sagittarius. Mars, already the warrior, and right now he's got an arrow. Okay. This is sharp, this is pointed, this is like I'm ready to attack. So this, I literally see it as like Mars popping that beautiful Neptune bubble. Well, what does that mean? How could it show up? Something maybe, that has been a fantasy personally, something, oh, I always want to do this thing and yeah, it's going to happen. You get hit with like a hard dose of reality that day. Boop, somebody comes and pops that bubble. You've got to figure out that dream a different way. Or more collectively, too, right? This can be, I don't know, something, it might be something to do with AI because the AI stuff, very Neptunian, what's real, what isn't, right? So we could have something, along those lines, but it literally could be any kind of bubble, metaphorical bubble. It could be a real estate bubble bursts. It can be some kind of something with the economy, that bubble burst, that thing that we were holding on to that we thought it was going to work. Nope, this is the reality check. Yeah, so this day I'm definitely paying attention to. And it will also be December 14th, we will also, right after that square, you can see Mars is at 29 degrees, the very final degree. Oh, actually, that's another good point. The 29th degree, also a very powerful degree. So to have Mars at 29, Neptune at 29, it's a big impact point. So yeah, I really think something big could happen around this time. But so right after that, Mars is going to ingress out of Sagittarius. There we go. And into Capricorn. So that's actually going to be like in the very early hours of December 15th. But then we've got Mars in Capricorn. Okay. This is different tone than Sagittarius. That's a little more wild, right? Wants freedom, wants to explore. Capricorn is about, nope, time to buckle down and get to work. I've got to get this goal done and I'm not giving up until I've completed it. And Mars is actually, sorry, my dog is barking. Sugar, stop it. Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. So this means that it actually works really, really well in this sign. It's not its home sign, but it's a sign where its energy functions very, very strongly. So yeah, if you're born Mars in Capricorn, you are someone who has a lot of endurance. You're very hardworking. You're very ambitious. And I'm just going to pause for 1 second, everyone. I'm so sorry. I just have to see what's going on with my little doggy here. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for holding. Back to Mars and Capricorn. Like I said, it's a very strong placement for Mars. This is exceptional energy for, yes, like I said, working on our goals and especially things related to your profession. Okay, any professional goals that you're working on, do it with Mars in Capricorn. This also gives us more physical endurance. In the newsletter, I mentioned that, if you're someone who's been wanting to like run a marathon or train for a marathon, Mars in Capricorn is like perfect energy for that. It's really, really great. And we will have Mars in Capricorn for about 2 months. So December 15th, yeah, through about February, early February, early to mid February, excuse me. So yeah, so we've got a good chunk of time to really lean into this Mars energy that's going to help us get those things done that maybe they take a little bit longer or they require more patience, more discipline. Get them done with Mars in Capricorn. Okay, then moving to the 16th, we will have the sun. Yes, here we go. The sun, actually, it's probably going to be a little bit later in the day where it's exact. Here we go. So when the sun is at 25 degrees of Sagittarius, it will be making a square to Saturn in Pisces. So you can see this month, we already have a theme here, a lot of squares, because it's all of that Sagittarius energy squaring off with this Pisces energy. Okay, so now it's the sun's turn to have its square its square with Saturn. And again, this is a day a little bit similar to our Mars square Saturn. It's a day where we're more likely to be met with resistance, where things might take longer or they might get delayed, they might get, stalled in some way. We can also just feel too like a little more don't necessarily want to say depressed, but maybe it's kind of like a day where your mood might just be a little bit meh down. Like, I don't really feel like seeing people. I really don't feel like doing this or this. I just kind of want to be at home. It's more like introverted energy. So if the 16th comes around and you're feeling that, yeah, it's probably that Saturn Sun square. Okay, then we're going to go to the 19th. And the 19th is going to be our new moon in Sagittarius. Okay, it's going to be at 28 degrees. Okay, so yeah, if you're someone who has Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces placements in your chart around 28 degrees, you are going to feel this moon the most strongly. You're going to be the most impacted. But the new moon, okay, always about new beginnings. Okay, this is when we want to set intentions for things. This is when we want to start something, plan something. Okay, it always represents the start of something, where our full moons are about the completion or the release. Okay, so with just talking about the new moon in Sagittarius energy, it's really about, it's really positive. It's about optimism. It is about looking at the bigger picture for yourself. Okay, so it's like, ask yourself, what's a big dream that I have or a big goal that I have that, yeah, maybe it seems kind of crazy, but it excites me so much. How could I take a small step toward that goal? It's really looking at those things that light you up just because they light you up, just because they bring you joy and happiness. It can be anything from I really want to, start taking this kind of dance class to I finally want to plan that trip to Paris. Or, it can be anything, but something that like just excites you. This is a good day to like look at that thing and maybe take, one step toward making that dream, that vision, something real for yourself. Um, and it also does go well specifically with travel planning because Sagittarius, right, does rule long distance travel. So, too, if this is a day that you want to, start planning your trip, great. The trip you want to take in 2026, really good day to do that. Hold on one more second. Sorry, my dog. Okay, thank you everyone for holding for a second. Um, so yes, this new moon, okay, also does have some challenges. As you can see, it's also getting all this square energy from Neptune and Saturn. Not exact, okay? Because these planets aren't at 28 degrees as well, but they're close. So they can still be kind of impacting the energy of this moon. So while normally a Sagittarius full moon, should just be like a day that's really easy and it's exciting and fun, and we're just doing all the fun, wild, crazy Sagittarius things. The mood for this day, we do have some Saturn energy. So again, might have some setbacks, might have some delays. And then the Neptune might add some confusion, or like you thought something was going to go one way, but it ends up going a different way. So you actually, you want to practice discernment around this new moon on December 19th. Okay, if someone tells you something and it sounds too good to be true, yeah, I would research that. Just make sure, you're double checking all of the information that is presented to you on this day. But there is maybe something that kind of offsets some of this confusion and this maybe some of this like resistance energy. And that is because the moon's ruler, okay, so the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. So we go over here, okay, Jupiter's in Cancer. And it's actually softening this Saturn energy, okay? Because again, it's not exact, but it's at 22 degrees, Saturn's at 25. So it is still influencing Saturn a little bit by softening it with this trine energy. So that could be a good thing, hopefully, that Jupiter is able to kind of absorb some of that maybe more harder resistant energy from Saturn around this new moon. Then we get to go to the 20th. And I'm really excited because this is my birthday. And it's got like all these like hard things. That's okay. So yes, on this day, we're having Venus. For one, Venus at 25 degrees Sagittarius. Now it's her turn to make a square to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn square Venus. This energy, it's very antisocial. That's a nice way of putting it. This is a day where we're probably not going to feel super social or feel like engaging with a lot of people. Ironically, it is around the holidays, and you probably, well, I have a birthday, but people probably have holiday parties, things like that. But the energy is not super supportive of big gatherings, of easy communication, of people getting along. This could be like maybe you have to go to a Christmas party and there's like some kind of standoff between two people. I don't know, because it is not ideal. Also for just personal relationships, Saturn Venus can be a day. Breakups can happen around this time, or just challenges, like serious challenges can come up in the relationship, something that really has to be worked out. There can just also be maybe like misunderstandings or just feeling like your partner like isn't understanding what you're trying to tell them, or maybe your partner feels cold or distant, or maybe you feel like you kind of want to distance yourself from your partner. That can very much happen around a Venus Saturn square as well. Okay, this day we also have oh yes, okay, the sun then also makes a square to Neptune. And again, at that 29th degree, at that very powerful degree. So, it's interesting because usually a Saturn Neptune square is, yeah, it's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of even like disillusionment or some sort of sense that you've been betrayed by something or someone. It can also make us feel like second guessing ourselves. Our confidence can kind of get watered down during a Sun Neptune square. So we might not feel as confident in our choices or in interacting with people. We might feel a little more shy, a little more subdued, a little more reserved. So yeah, not a great day to like make a big decision. I would wait for the square to pass before you make any big life decisions, if you were trying to do that around this time. Um, it can also be like having a very humbling experience because Neptune is all about like stripping the ego. Take your ego out of it. So on this day, yeah, you might have an experience. It's like, oh, yeah, I did need to check myself. My ego was kind of out of control, and now I've been humbled. And the situation really made me see that. Might not be fun, but you will learn something from it. So yeah, this day, I don't know. It's interesting. It's two squares, and again, the Pisces part that can just add an oversense or an overabundance, excuse me, of confusion, of things just not being super clear, lacking in clarity. And then we also have on this day, the nodes are also being squared by Mercury. And that actually happens a little bit earlier in the day. Um, here we go, with Mercury at 11 degrees Sagittarius, squaring the lunar nodes at 11 degrees Pisces and 11 degrees Virgo. The last time Mercury squared the lunar nodes, when it was in Gemini, was when Elon Musk and Donald Trump had that weird, like, Twitter feud argument thing that was like all over the news. And they were just, yeah, bickering with each other online. That was what happened the last time Mercury squared the nodes. So, yeah, we might have some kind of very public display of an argument or communication or just some big communication story. Again, can also be something related to travel because it's Mercury in Sagittarius, right? Like, again, like maybe, I don't know, an airport's right system gets hacked and they've got to cancel a bunch of flights, right? Some kind of thing like that could happen. But definitely something, because like I said, whenever the nodes are triggered, you're going to get a news story. So again, that's another day we'll pay attention to. Also, just personally for communication, yeah, there can be misunderstandings on this day. With the Sagittarius, we might be overly blunt with someone and it might get us into trouble, or maybe someone's overly blunt with us and then it turns into an argument. So again, just, yeah, I would be very mindful of what I'm saying around this time and who I'm saying it to. And that is our last day of Sagittarius season. Okay, then December 21st, we are moving into Capricorn season. The sun moves into Capricorn. This is also the winter solstice, okay, the longest night of the year. And it also is the start of Yule, okay, which was, yes, Yule is what Christmas was before we had Christianity, and they stole the celebration of Yule from the pagans. Okay, and the celebration was really about the returning of light. Okay, because after the solstice, after that darkest night of the whole year, then the sun starts to grow again. Then the days start to get longer, right? Little by little. And then we're just working towards the longest day of the year in June. So that's what this celebration is really about. And then Capricorn season, yep, now the fun is over. Time to get serious. Time to start planning what you need to do in the new year, what you need to get organized. time to do, right? Capricorn is all about like the checklist and reality and what's working in your life and what isn't working in your life. Where do you need more structure? Where do you need more responsibility? So then we're going to have the sun, yeah, actually helping out Mars, okay, for the next like 4 weeks with the sun and Mars both in Capricorn. Really great for, yes, get clear about your goals for the new year. How are you going to implement them? How are you going to take reasonable, actionable steps toward whatever your goals are? And what, too, specifically, professionally? What do you want to accomplish professionally in 2026? Do you want to get a promotion? Do you want to apply for a new job? Do you want to start your own business? This Capricorn season is ideal for looking at those questions and those, topics. And then on the 23rd, we're going to have Venus square Neptune. And again, oh, wait a second. Oops. 29. Venus square Neptune, again, at that 29th degree, that critical degree. Well, this can be, Venus and Neptune, again, relationship stuff, relationship confusion, deception, having a hard time setting boundaries in relationships, being told one thing, but the person actually meaning something different. So yeah, just for anyone in a relationship around this time, you just want to make sure you're very clear and communicating very clearly what you need. And if your partner's saying something to you that you just feel like this is kind of vague, like what are you saying? It's okay to ask for specifics. In terms of, resources or money, finances, because that can also be what Venus represents, right? Yeah, there can be definitely, yeah, confusion around money today. So make sure, right, it's like double check your bank statements, make sure you weren't overcharged for something or you didn't get an extra charge from somewhere that you just didn't notice because you weren't paying attention to it. Yeah, pay attention to your spending and your finances on this day. And then on the 24th, Venus then ingresses also into Capricorn. Okay, so now we've got 3 planets in Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn is, yeah, also again, right, the reality. What is the reality of my relationship or relationships? Where can I be strengthening my relationships? Where do I need to take my relationships more seriously? Right? Because that's the Capricorn energy. It's about like what's real, what can be improved, what can be better. Okay. Venus in Capricorn too, also just good for, right, doing self work. Like, what do I need to build within myself? Where can I be strengthening, my own habits or my own ideas, my own beliefs? How can I be working on myself to improve myself going into the new year? Venus in Capricorn is really great for that. And also, too, for some people, relationships that maybe have been kind of casual do get more serious when Venus goes into Capricorn. Maybe you've been casually seeing someone and then all of a sudden they want to get engaged or they want to move in with you, or there's some new level of commitment can also come about with Venus in Capricorn when it comes to our relationships. Also, that can also be business relationships. Maybe you and a friend decide, like, yeah, let's actually get serious about this idea that we have. Let's actually start this business or let's start this collaboration. Really good for that. Okay, then we get to the 27th, which is going to be our second quarter moon. So this time it's going to be the moon in Aries, sun in Capricorn. So remember, these quarter moons, we can feel tension around this time, or maybe there's some kind of challenge that comes up for us personally that we've got to overcome, we've got to work through. And with Aries and Capricorn, these are cardinal signs. These are signs that very much like to take action, that like to initiate. So that's kind of a plus of, and especially Aries and Capricorn, they're both ambitious signs. So while this day could be challenging, if you like use that energy and put it toward a goal, put it towards something that's important to you, it can actually be pretty beneficial. Um, you will also see Mars is kind of in the mix here too. Mars will also be squaring the moon on this day. So that's just like, watch out for your temper. You could, we're a little more likely to jump to anger or to frustration around this time, especially right moon in Aries being triggered by Mars. That could be an angry moon, or just like conflict is more likely, especially in the home or family environment. So, if you live with people, just again, try to be a little mindful. And if someone annoys you, go for a walk for 10 minutes before like jumping to just conclusions or to that anger place. And then on the 29th, okay, this is it. This is pretty much the end of the month. We just have Mercury now. Now it's Mercury's turn to square Saturn. And let's get it exact when Mercury is at 26. Here we go. So Mercury at 26 degrees Sagittarius, Saturn at 26 degrees Pisces. When it's Mercury and Saturn in a square, this is issues with, yes, communication. Okay. It's like our words don't land, people have a hard time understanding us, or again, like things we're trying to ask for, things we're trying to get done are met with resistance in some way. Okay, so this is a day like you're trying to get your paperwork done, but like, nope, sorry, you actually have to redo it and you actually have to add this paper and you've got to add this one. It's like it's not going to be super easy. Also, travel around this time. Yeah, there might be some delays, there might be some cancellations, there might be some detours, okay, that have to happen. Technology too, right? Like this is a day where, yeah, your phone could die and you forgot your charger. Back up your files, make sure you've got your phone charged 100%, you've got a charger with you, because technology things could also go haywire around this time. So that is December, everyone. And I did, mention I was also going to do just a little, not super in depth, but just a little overview of what we have in store for 2026. Okay, so this is something, if you just want to take some notes, you can. And, if I mention your sign, then yeah, highlight that and just kind of make a mental note like, oh, okay, I might get this could activate some things for me next year. But starting with the eclipses, okay, we are still going to have 2 eclipses in Virgo and Pisces, but we're also moving out of Virgo and Pisces and into Leo and Aquarius, okay, where we will have 2 eclipses in 2026, and then 4 eclipses in 2027. So in February, we will have our solar eclipse in Aquarius. Okay, that's February. In March, we will have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. In August, we will have a solar eclipse in Leo. And then we will have also in August our lunar eclipse in Pisces. And that's going to be the end of that Virgo Pisces eclipse season that we've been in for the last 2 years. So people with Virgo and Pisces placements, you can be like, yay, no more eclipses like hitting me directly. But if you're someone with Aquarius Leo placements in your chart, yeah, these eclipses for the next 2 years are going to be impacting you. That's change coming for you. So also, pay attention to what houses do Leo and Aquarius rule in your natal chart? Where do they fall in your natal chart? Because it's those houses that are going to get activated for the next 2 years. And then the next big thing we have in Neptune, in January, okay, Neptune will move into Aries full time, okay? Full time for the next 14 years, Neptune will be in Aries. Neptune will no longer retrograde back into Pisces, and we're going to have a little bit more of this Pisces. Nope. Once we're in Aries in January, that's where we are for the next 14 years. Okay. And then we have Saturn permanently moving out of Pisces as well in February. Okay. Saturn is also going to move into Aries in February. And that is actually on February 15th and 16th is when we are having the exact Neptune Saturn conjunction in Aries, okay, where these two planets will meet up in the sign of Aries. And yeah, we're going to see some things happen around that time. So again, where is Aries in your natal chart? Pay attention to, oh, what house is that? What could be activated by that Saturn Neptune? I don't know what it could be. I mean, the Aries part makes us think, right? It could be something having to do with war, right? Some kind of war related thing, some kind of attack. But the Neptune and Saturn is that weird blend of what's real and what isn't, what's reality, what's fantasy. So that makes me think it could be some like weird AI scandal, like some huge video is released and it's really serious, but it ends up being fake. It ends up being AI, but maybe it causes a war. I don't know, but something kind of crazy like that could happen. Um, and then we have Uranus permanently moving back into Gemini, okay, in April. And again, that's it. Uranus will not be tiptoeing back into Taurus, not again for another 84 years, okay? Uranus in Gemini will be there for the next 7 years. No more going back into Taurus. So all my Taurus people are like, yay, finally, Uranus isn't going to mess with me anymore. But yeah, whenever Uranus goes into Gemini, okay, it does create a pattern of the United States going to war. Okay. The first time was the Revolutionary War. The second time was the Civil War. The third time was World War II. Okay. So 84 years later, Uranus and Gemini, United States what war are we going to? Because that seems to be a pattern. Could be a chance we don't, but with 3 times in a row already, it's likely we're getting involved with something. Now, is that going to be next year specifically? Maybe, maybe not. It could be any time over the next 7 years. And then Pluto in Aquarius. Yes, we've had that. We still have Pluto in Aquarius for 19 more years. So that isn't anything new from last year. And then the biggest change we have is Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter is going to move out of Cancer in July. Yeah, in July, Jupiter will leave Cancer and head into Leo, okay, where it will be for about a year and a half, okay? So obviously people with Leo placements, or if you have, other fixed energy in your chart, right? So Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, along with Leo, you're going to be impacted by that Jupiter in Leo. And Jupiter is, right, the expander, right? Expansion, growth, abundance, generosity. Okay, so yeah, so this is good for you, especially if you're a Leo. Okay, that Jupiter is going to bring you some nice positive energy, some growth, some rewards. Okay, and obviously, depending on what house, Leo rules in your chart, that's what's going to be activated. And then aside from Mercury retrogrades, which we know we have those every year, 3 or 4 times a year, the biggest retrograde we have next year will be Venus. Okay, Venus will be retrograde in Scorpio and Libra in October, October of 2026. So Venus retrogrades happen about, every year and a half. Okay, so not every year. But yeah, that's when we get to review right? All of our relationship things. Some people have ex-lovers that return, that show up in their lives. Yeah, it can also be a time where, yeah, we're just kind of reevaluating our relationships. And that can be not just romantic, but business, even close friendships, family relationships. It's a time for reviewing, yeah, everything having to do with relationships. So yeah, that's coming up in October. So that is just a quick little yeah, little sample of what we can expect for 2026. So thank you so much to everyone who joined live today. Are there any questions for anyone who's here? No, we're good.
No, well,
Okay.
Tara, I just wanted to say, enjoy your birthday. That's one. And two,
Okay.
when it comes down to us, email or today's recording.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again, Mary.
I'm not sure if it was recorded, this session. Was it recorded?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
it's been recorded. So yes, if you want a copy, yeah, I will send you the link.
Okay, that would be great. All right, so have a good one.
Okay, everyone, have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you in 2026. And well, I'll see you soon, Nancy.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You're
All right,
welcome.
take care.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Okay, bye bye.